Kendrick Lamar has finally come back outside as he just had his Ken and Friends pop-out concert, and after witnessing Kendrick's first performance following his beef with Drake, I think it's safe to say what we just witnessed is going to go down as one of the greatest moments of not just his career, but for the entirety of hip-hop, because what Kendrick did coming off the momentum of the biggest rap beef of the 21st century was legendary in every sense of the word, as he used all of the hype and excitement in the air to put together an event truly like no other, and of course, as everybody else is touching new levels of greatness, the downfall of Drake has just reached a new low, as after everything that went down here, there should not be a single person on this planet that thinks that Drake somehow still came out of this as a winner, or even in a manner where his career isn't in sheer and utter ruin, because with this performance, Kendrick didn't take the route most artists would, which would just be to capture the success of what went down, perform the diss tracks live, and cash a nice check off all the hype. But instead of this, just like everything else Kendrick Lamar has done in his career, this performance was calculated, extremely well thought out, and super powerful, and while there are many reasons of why this was, it all comes back to the fact that from the moment the show started to the moment it ended, every single thing that went down just further invalidated all of Drake's diss tracks, which have just aged like milk at this point, and what's even more brilliant is that this wasn't because Kendrick was trying to spite him exactly, but Kendrick literally just proved that he is the clear winner of this beef and that everything Drake has said is not just wrong, but it was genuinely embarrassing to even put in a song by just acting and showing who he really is. Now, the first way this was shown was in the initial leg of the show, which featured a set DJ'd by the one and only DJ Head, and with this opening act, we got to see an array of unsung and underrated talent from the West Coast get their chance to shine on the biggest stage in rap this year during a concert that was not just attended by nearly 20,000 people, but that was also being watched and followed by millions online. Now, there was a lot of West Coast artists who got to
Not only was it watched by 20,000 in attendance, but it was an international concert on Amazon Music. International. Not national, like national US. International means outside the US and including the US. This concert was huge. Like, to put it in perspective, like with the Jay-Z and Nas joint, that was like premiered on Hot 97. Whether or not you heard it is whether or not you heard it. Probably heard it on like mixtapes and all that stuff. This joint was premiered on Amazon Music internationally. Insane.
Bright on such a big stage, and especially in this portion, guys like Jason Martin, Jay Worthy, and Westside Boogie were more ready for this moment than ever, and by giving these underrated and hungry MCs the chance to show off their skills, be discovered by fans who would have otherwise never known them, and even have the chance to go viral online by having so much exposure. Right off the bat, by just caring about the artists in his community, Kendrick destroyed Drake's lines on Family Matters about him not giving back and showing love to where he is from, as by sharing the stage with so many artists that, while not being anywhere near Kendrick's size, are from the same place he is. It just shows from the very ground of this performance and on the most fundamental level what Kendrick was trying to pull off here, and as things went on, this only became more and more clear during DJ Mustard's set, which showcased so many of the biggest rappers and artists from the West Coast riding off everything Kendrick did leading up to this, which when it comes to the most important moment of the night in terms of humiliating Drake during this portion of the show, while seeing artists like Steve Lacy and Roddy Ricch on stage show that they are siding with their hometown over even the slightest chance of getting a Drake feature, and while Tyler the Creator garnered the most excitement from the crowd, not just because it was insane to see him rep the West Coast in this manner that was so unexpected, but also just because he's one of the biggest stars in rap and one of music's most exciting performers. What really was a bad look for Drake in this moment was when YG came out, as one of Drake's biggest so-called chess moves during the Kendrick feud was his attempt to try to tear Kendrick's closest people, whether it was his label mates or rappers that he came up with apart from him, and especially in this regard, he really went all in on destroying Kendrick from his hometown when he shouted out YG on Family Matters and tried to pretty much force him to be on Team Drake. But despite this, YG showed that one of Drake's biggest moves in the entire feud when it came to hurting Kendrick in this beef absolutely fell flat on his face, as YG didn't just come out and show support for Kendrick as he channeled what it meant to be a West Coast MC in the arena like only few other guests did, but that he has his own problems with the OVO rapper, because from his subliminal diss a few weeks ago to the way he aggressively told DJ Mustard to cut him and Drake's collab Who Do You Love short right before Drake's part came on, which I don't think many people noticed yet as just so many things went down. All in all, by giving smaller rappers from his hometown the chance to shine on what may go down as the biggest night of his career, and by having rappers Drake once considered friends and pawns that he could move against Kendrick like YG, show that this beef has only brought him, Kendrick, and their coast closer together. Drake's diss tracks hold almost little to no weight at all anymore, because aside from the lies and the invalidation of his entire strategy that of course we saw on the disaster of the Heart Part 6, the remaining jabs that still held any sort of validity on a cut like Family Matters don't even make remote sense anymore and just have shown themselves to be even more elaborate lies that Drake created, and when it comes to Drake being maybe the biggest liar in rap, when Kendrick came out to perform in the final act of the show, it really showed off just how delusional and insane the OVO rapper is, and ultimately, When we look at all of this in totality, it really leaves Drake's disses and strategy as some of the worst drawn up ever in a major feud, because as everyone remembers, another one of the main digs Drake tried to get in on Kendrick to tear him up from the inside was by saying that he gets more love than Lamar in Kendrick's home city, and that Kendrick is not really as big as he seems, and that he doesn't even belong in a big three, and during Kendrick's performance. He made sure that nobody will even think these things again, as he disputed all these ideas as he delivered one of the greatest sets of his career, but not just because of his energy or the fact that he ran through his greatest hits, but because of how he put every single lie that was ever told about him during this beef to rest. Now, no moment showed this better than where Kendrick came out to his first full-on response track to Drake, Euphoria, which in a beef whereas more points were placed on the board, the higher risk there was for one artist's net of attacks to just cave in. With a track like Euphoria, as Kendrick did his research and made a piece of music that wasn't flimsy enough to just crumble when his opponent responded on impact. Everything he said here still applies to Drake and beyond what it represented when the song came out. The song is now becoming this ever-evolving musical hit piece that doesn't just reflect Kendrick's.
And not only that, like just Kendrick doing this show on Juneteenth. After like us coming to the conclusion, like it ain't nothing to even debate anymore, of Drake being like a colonizer for the culture. Yeah, he's a colonizer of the culture. He don't really care about the culture. Just listen to his music. Talking about how Kendrick rapping like he trying to free the slaves. How do you sound, bro? Yeah, I rock with Kendrick doing his show on Juneteenth. I rock with him uniting the West the way he did. I thought that was fire. I thought his whole set was fire, but Kendrick always did like impactful sets for his live concerts. They're very impactful. They're very thought-provoking. They're very well thought out. That's Kendrick. I think Drizzy, for his live sets, he goes for more of like the Kanye West glitz and glamour. But Kendrick, on the other hand, his is more thought-provoking, and he makes more statements during his live sets, or at least the live sets that, you know, he takes his time with, and they're just like not a stop on his concert. I'm talking about like when you see him on TV, it's thought-provoking. It was well thought out, and this was another one. This is another notch in his cap
On Drake when he wrote it, but that also echo what he is thinking in the very present moment of where the rivalry is at, as during this performance. While of course Kendrick repeated most of the timeless jabs which will probably apply to Drake and haunt him forever, he also added in some new lines, like when he said, "Give me Tupac's ring back and might give you a little respect." Now compare this to Drake's diss tracks, which have only dissolved into embarrassing rants of delusional gossip, and the all-time failure of Drake is only more apparent and during the performance. One of the most beautiful moments of the entire concert was when Kendrick Lamar, J-Rock, Ab-Soul, and Schoolboy Q reunited on stage as Black Hippy, and after a time where it seemed like this group was just not making music together anymore, and that they also may have not been cool with Kendrick, which was the rumor that Drake tried to use against him throughout his diss tracks, as he talked about how Kendrick's label TDE does not respect him. On top of this moment being one of the most powerful things the genre has seen in years, it just melts off another one of the ways Drake tried to take Kendrick down, and overall, with the failure of Drake's entire barrage of diss tracks against Kendrick Lamar never being seen greater than right in this moment where during the concert his words were not just proven to be false, but as Kendrick delivered moment after moment, especially in instances where he performed like that and the arena was so energized as he declared there was no longer a big three, and when Kendrick went on to perform Not Like Us 5 times in a row, which from the amount of times the crowd got too hyped and had to restart the song, to when everyone from Compton at the show came up on stage to dance and celebrate the anthem they created, which resulted in this surreal moment where Kendrick Lamar, Black Hippy, DJ Mustard, YG, Steve Lacy, Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan, and so many others were just turning up together. As thousands in the arena and millions in the world.
It really went left when Russell Westbrook hopped on stage and was turning up, and he was crip walking up there, y'all. They had Russell Westbrook crip walking, bro. DeMar DeRozan, if you remember, he actually played for Toronto, but he chose his allegiance to be on the West Coast. That's where he's from. It is what it is, man. It's definitely a changing of the guard. After this concert, it's a changing of the guard.
Galvanized behind Kendrick to not even really diss Drake, but just to celebrate hip-hop, the West Coast, and as Kendrick Lamar expressed towards the end of the show, a rare moment of unity where so many people came together. Ultimately, while this show was as hyped up as it was because of the Drake beef, Kendrick Lamar used this performance to make a moment so much bigger than a feud in rap could ever be, and because of this, Lamar didn't just make history in one of the most unexpected and meaningful ways he could have with this show, but by almost ignoring Drake in a way and making these moments that blossomed from the root of his and Kendrick's tensions into what feels like the revival of the true spirit and essence of what hip-hop represents, especially on the regional level. Kendrick's managed to humiliate Drake more than anyone could have expected, as his loss isn't just going to give one man a victory, but it's inspired the entire spirit of a genre to be in the most unified place it has been. And if this beef can do all this, it really adds another medal to Kendrick's jacket, because it's showing how even in a situation that seems so negative, as he went into a lyrical gladiator match that really did get intense at times, it was ultimately for the betterment of hip-hop and what he cares about most. So while this beef may never be truly over, if Drake continues to ride off the momentum of his failure, and eventually, I am sure we will get another Kendrick diss on his end in the form of a subliminal shot. It's clear that with this legendary concert that we will be talking about for years to come, Kendrick Lamar showed that he didn't just win the beef, but that he brought hip-hop back into its purest form in decades. So let me know, what do you think of this concert and everything that went down? Let me know your favorite moments in the comments. I can't wait to hear what you have.
And let me say this. I think this concert right here was like, it was like a victory lap. Yeah, it was like a victory lap. It was like the nail in the coffin almost. It was a changing of the guard. It was a new king sitting on the throne. All right, so drop a comment. Let me know. How do y'all feel about the Ken and Friends pop out concert? I thought it was fire. Drop a comment. Let me know if y'all seen it and how y'all felt about it, and whether or not it was great or not. Once again, it's your boy, What's Up G. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 10K. We'll be there soon. And, you know, if you want to do something great today, you can always subscribe to the channel. Help us get there. You know, become a part of the family. Because we growing every day, y'all. And we going to make it to the top. It's your boy, What's Up G. I'm out. Yeah, Kendrick definitely ain't paying the load, bro.